Hey guys, what's going on? Yuri here from Healthpreneur. I've been getting a lot of questions from various practitioners about, well, how do I work online with patients? How do I do that, right? And what I want to do in this video is actually just be super tactical. So if you've got a question, if you're watching this live, just let me know in the comments. And if you're watching this on the replay, then I guess it's not going to be as live for you, but it'll still be very applicable because I think, one of the things I don't want you to get hung up on is I don't know how to do this, therefore I'm not going to do this, right? And my job is to give you clarity and a path to follow so that you feel comfortable being able to do this, right? Because the thing is, if you've never done something before, it's going to feel uncomfortable, right? Obviously, but everything you want is on the other side of the comfort zone. So you have to be okay getting uncomfortable in order to do what it is that you want to do. So what I'd love to do here is actually just share and see if I can, let me just see if I can make this a bit bigger for you guys. All right. So let's do, no, that's not the thing I wanted to do. I'm trying to share my screen, my iPad, get a little picture-in-picture action going on here. So there we go. Let's see if that will work. No, still nothing. All right, so let's just do this. I want you to think of three things, okay? Now, again, if you've got a question at any point, just let me know in the comments. So if we look at a triangle, I want you to think of the scope of your care with your potential patients or clients online. And just one thing, like patients, clients, for me, they're the same thing. I think it's just semantics. So don't get hung up on that, okay? There's live support. There's self-directed. Sorry, I can't even spell here. There is self-directed care, and there's community. Okay, so I want you to think of these three parameters with what you do, okay? And so let's look at some very real examples. And again, if you've got a question around this, just let me know in the comments, and hopefully I can see these comments as I'm doing this live. And if I don't respond to you, I apologize, maybe because my screen is not showing the comments. But let me know anyways. So when we look at, let's start off with live support. Okay, so let's say that you currently are a naturopath, functional medicine doctor, chiropractor, physical therapist, any type of practitioner. The basic level, okay, so like ground floor, the only thing I want you to think about right now is how do I continue doing what I'm doing in my practice online, barring I can't use my hands, okay? So what does that mean? That means your expertise, like your value that you provide your clients is going to be in a few categories. Number one is clarity. Okay, that's what you're providing your clients or your patients, is clarity on what to do and what not to do. Now that clarity comes from your expertise, your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience in the field. What that doesn't need or necessitate is you being in person with them. Karine, ça va? Good to see you. So the thing is, if you can have a conversation with someone in person or online, then that's where you want to start, right? So we have clients right now that are, for instance, functional medicine doctors. And in the first place, they don't actually even have to have a clinic, to be honest, because they can do everything virtually. So they might just have a normal check-in, a session, some type of intake, an assessment, an initial consultation. All of that can be done like this, like Zoom, on the phone, whatever. I mean, Zoom is HIPAA compliant, so it's probably best to do it on that. And that's where you want to start, right? I just actually had a conversation with our naturopathic doctor 2 days ago over the phone from the comfort of my own home office. And she was in her, she was outside of the city and like 40 acres. So she was in the comfort of her own home. I was in the comfort of my own home. We had a conversation. It was super helpful. Everyone wins. I don't have to be in her office, right? So that's where it starts, is the live support. Think of the interaction you have with your patient or client. Now, I get really excited about thinking about leverage because the challenge with the typical care model is very dependent upon your time. So you take time to see a patient and it's all one-on-one for the most part. And I think there's a big opportunity to disrupt that model once our clinics are able to be open again. But online, what we've been able to help our clients do for so many years is create more leveraged programs where now instead of it being one-on-one, they can think one-to-many. Now, this is kind of, so let me just numerically order these. This is step number one. If you did nothing else, if the only thing that you did right now was instead of having all of your patients cancel, you simply said, hey, listen, let's jump on the phone. Let's continue our relationship virtually. And we have very specific campaigns and scripts for all of our clients to send these out to help with that. But the reality is like, that's really as simple as it needs to be. Like, you don't need fancy technologies. You don't need any kind of membership sites. You don't need like any of that stuff. Now, the second level, if you wanted to go here, is, all right, so how do I build more leverage? How do I add more self-directed care here? So let me give you the example of a manual therapist in this case. Okay, so let's say you're a physical therapist, and I'll use the example I've used before, is let's say I come to you for a shoulder issue. Okay, so I'll give the example of my actual physical therapist. When I would see him during the summer when I was playing a lot of tennis, I would come in once, maybe twice a week. And what would happen is he would do a bit of manual work on my shoulder to just loosen up some tension. Sometimes he might do some acupuncture. And yes, those modalities don't make sense to do virtually. But I think where physical therapists really are a cut above in their field is their ability to give you self-care exercises and stretches that allow you to get better on your own. Right? And I think that is an amazing skill set that the profession has that cannot be overlooked. So right now, think about this. So let's say that my physical therapist, obviously you can't be in the clinic right now. If you said, okay, Yuri, here's the situation. You can't come in, but here's what I've done is I actually have a 4-week self-directed shoulder care protocol. And here are the videos. Here are the lesson plans that include the exercises. So let's say that he shot videos of him doing the exercises, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now I go onto my computer, I log in, or he sends me the videos or whatever, whatever that looks like. Again, it doesn't have to be super tech, doesn't have to be super fancy. Like literally he could just send me a video file if I want to keep it super, super lean. You can share them in Dropbox or Google Drive. Like you don't have to have a membership site if you want to, that's cool. So he sends me the videos. Here's what I want you to do. Here's the protocol, 3 sets of 10, 3 times a week. And we have let's say an initial assessment. You're going to do this type of test, self-test to see what kind of range of motion you have. If there's any pain, we're going to test every 7 days to see how that improves. So here's the thing is he's giving me the protocols to follow. I do them on my own. I'm paying him for his knowledge. I'm paying him for his intellectual property. I'm paying him for his expertise. I'm not paying him for his time. You see the difference there? So during this process, I might have, let's say, 1 check-in call with him a week or 1 check-in with him a month, right? But I'm paying him a certain amount of money, and part of that is not just the live support, but it's also the self-directed care. And this can be considered to be more of like a virtual program, if you will. So you have a 4-week, 8-week, 12-week program, 7-day program, whatever it is, that's geared to a specific issue that you can solve. So that's the second component, and that should actually say number 2. So let me just erase that. Again, that is not mandatory out of the gates, but I do think if you want to create an amazing business and leverage, that's something you want to think about. It's something we help all of our clients do eventually is how do we take what like if you're a personal trainer, for instance, and you work, this is how I started when I was coming online. I was a kinesiologist, personal trainer, nutritionist, and I was like, what am I doing with all my clients in person? All right, cool. How do I document that and how do I record that so they become a sequence of follow-along videos, for instance? And that's how it started for me back in 2006. So I want you to think about how do I productize my service? It's probably one of the smartest things you can think of. And if you don't, that's not, again, it's not the immediate thing to worry about. The most immediate thing right now is to stop the bleeding. The bleeding is you have an existing patient load that has now decreased. They have canceled appointments. They're no longer coming to see you, maybe because they don't know how, or maybe because you're not offering virtual work with them. Okay, so the number one thing is we just want to conserve existing patients and show them how we can help them virtually, remotely, okay? And then the final thing down here is community. So this is the final step. Again, you don't have to have this right off the bat. My good friend James Maskell has a book called Community Heals, and it's all about disrupting healthcare in general and showing that, listen, we all know that isolation and loneliness is probably a bigger killer than smoking. And if we can bring people together, it's going to help their healing journey. And the beautiful thing in a lot of practices, one of the things that we're doing with practices is really helping them think about how they can move some of their delivery to that type of model, because it's a game changer. But online, having a community is amazing. Like, we help hundreds of clients at the same time. And I can promise you that it is 1,000 times better than if you were to work with me one-on-one. Because if you work with me one-on-one, you don't get access to hundreds of other experts just like you who are going through the same journey, who you can connect with, who can challenge your beliefs, raise your standards, raise you up. I mean, if we've got clients in the program that are doing, $80K a month, $500,000 a month. We have others that are, obviously a lot lower and starting out. But if you're surrounded by people like that, you can borrow their beliefs and you can start to see, I'm like, man, like, they're doing this, I can do this too. Because it's one thing for me to say that you can do this. It's another thing for you to see other people just like you doing what you want to do. And so being in a community, literally as simple as a Facebook group that is for your clients only, is a great way for them to feel connected with other people that are on the same journey as them. So these are the 3 pillars I think are super important to think about in terms of working with people remotely, right? Is that number 1, let's not get bogged down by the tech. Let's not worry about having everything perfect, because right now, again, step number 1 is you need to cut the bleeding. You need to stop the bleeding. And that means save your existing patients and just tell them, hey, I can now work with you virtually. Let's just do this. Charge them by the session, however you want. Give them a discount if you want, because of what's going on right now. If you feel that's good for you, whatever. That's where it's got to start. Keep it super, super simple. Then, if you want, you don't have to, but if you want, you can consider building out more self-directed protocols, right? And this is a lot easier if you've got one single target market. Now, if you help everyone under the sun, these self-directed protocols are going to be challenging, because now you have to do one for every single condition, which is one of the reasons I recommend strongly that you narrow down your focus to one single target market at a time. The live support side of things, you can work with anyone, right? Like, you can just jump on the phone, one-off sessions, help someone with Hashimoto's, another person with gout, another person with leaky gut, like whatever it is. But as soon as you start getting into leverage, where many people can go through the same process, you got to narrow things down. Otherwise, you're going to burn yourself out. Okay. I mean, you'll still burn yourself out doing the live one-on-one stuff, but for now, conserve and stop the bleeding. Okay. Step number 2 is starting to think about building out self-directed care. And step number 3 is really build and integrate that community so people feel like they're on the same wavelength with other people, okay? The one thing I really want you to get from this, guys, is that I don't care if you're a massage therapist or a naturopathic doctor, a functional medicine doctor. The only thing that is going to keep you from building a successful virtual practice is your own limitations. That's it. Like, that's it. And if you're asking for examples of other people just like you who've built a successful practice online, again, it's a limiting belief that you have. It's a limiting belief that says, I can't do this, therefore show me other people who have. But it would be like going to school and asking your professor, hey, professor, what are the other 100 people in this class getting in terms of their grades? Right? It makes no sense at all. Like Susie got an A, Don got an F. What does that matter to you? It means nothing, because you're different, right? You're going to follow a similar system, but your ability to do the work and get stuck in is very dependent upon you, right? Just like every student is going to be different with the same material. So don't let what other people are doing or not doing hold you back from building your dream, because the reality is most people are going to do nothing. So if you are looking at what most people do and that thing is nothing, then what kind of example is that? Believe in yourself and look back over your life. Look back over your life to look at what are the times in my life where I was successful? What were the times in my life where I achieved something that maybe I didn't think I could do, where I got out of my comfort zone, where I learned something where I previously didn't know that? Think about this. You went to school and you went through 4, 5, 10 years of education. That is a massive achievement. One of our clients, not only did he go through chiropractic school, this is decades ago, built a very successful practice, wrote down a number of books, climbed Mount Everest twice, twice, tallest mountain in the world, comes to us. I'm like, dude, if you can do that stuff, this is easy, relatively speaking. It's not easy, but relative to climbing Mount Everest, it's easy. So in my case, I played professional soccer. I got my pilot's license. I wrote a New York Times best-selling book. Those are great reference points for me to be like, you know what, dude? It's not about the thing, it's about the person, right? And if you're a winner, winners will find a way to win. And we love working with winners, right? So if this is making sense for you, then listen, here's what my pen just dropped. If this is making sense for you, then here's what I want you to do. I want you right now to go to Healthpreneur group, hopefully you can read this, .com/apply. And I want you to book a call with us. Book a call with one of our coaches and let's put together a game plan for your business. Let's look at what do you need most right now? Because right now we have dozens of campaigns, like email campaigns that you can send to your existing audience to get them booking in with you virtually. We can show you how to get more referrals. We can show you how to activate dormant leads into paying patients and clients virtually. This is the first thing we're going to help you do, is we're going to stop the bleeding. We're going to get your revenue where it needs to be, or at least kind of similar to where it was. Then we can worry about building out anything else you want on the back end. Okay. And obviously we talk about our perfect client pipeline. If you've seen our training, you'll know what that means. It's our 4-step business model for attracting patients and clients who've never heard of you and who are willing to start working with you in the space of a couple of days. That's the model we teach. But again, it starts with getting your existing patients and clients working with you in a remote fashion. Listen, if you want our help, go to healthpreneurgroup.com/apply. But I want to be very honest about who we can and cannot serve. You have to have been in business for more than 1 year. Okay, so you have to have a practice. You have to be a practice owner or owner of your own business. Like if you're just, an assistant in the business or whatever, it probably not, it's not gonna make the most sense. And we want you to be making at least $5K per month or more. And just the reason for that is because if you have no momentum, if you've got no audience, no patient list, no client list coming in, it's going to be a challenge either way, right? And you can succeed, but it's going to take longer, right? So we want to help you use the momentum you have. We want to help you scale that as quickly as possible. And if you meet those criteria, then right now, go over to healthpreneurgroup.com/apply, book in your call. It's totally free. And we'll walk you through what the game plan will look like for you. And we can talk about if it makes sense for us to work together and help you deploy this for almost immediate results. Anyways, I hope this has found you well. If it has, give it a thumbs up. Share this with someone who needs to see this. Love you guys. Do not let limitations hold you back. You're here to serve people. This is a bigger opportunity than ever before. And I want to help you guys through this time. All right, guys, have an awesome one.